Russia, India, trusted partners. That's the session where we'll be talking about understanding this trusted partnership in changing global order, geopolitical events, and how the two countries have moved forward. Russia and India were from 2 decades ago to now, when things look very, very different. To discuss this and more, I'm being joined by Vasily Pushkov. He's Director of International Cooperation, Sputnik News Agency. Elena Chernova, Head of Foreign Affairs, Association of Innovative Regions of Russia, that's AIRR. And Sami Kotwani, he is the President of Indian Business Alliance, been in Russia 36 years and counting. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's begin with you, Vasily. This is a very important visit. President Putin is going to be in India, but this comes at a time when America is engaged with Russia, and there are massive issues when it comes to how India can engage with Russia amid all the sanctions. How are you looking at things going forward? Is the trust dithering, or is this partnership that will continue?
I think that India is probably the only country in the world that, when it comes to Russia, doesn't really have to worry about its country image. I mean, it stood the test of time. I can go to Siberia, to a small village. I can start naming countries there. People in that village will find something bad to mention about basically any country of the world. But I don't think anyone will say anything bad about India there. So from the point of view of a country's image and trust towards India, Russia is set. It's from here, you guys can only go up. And since I represent media on this panel, for me, country image is basically the foundation of everything.
Okay, but we'll come to the media perception. We'll come to the media perception in just a bit. Sami, has it been difficult the past few years after the Russia-Ukraine conflict? Have things been difficult in terms of building trust, in terms of explaining Russia to others, particularly in India?
See, I will be very honest. India doesn't get a lot of correct news. They follow a lot of American media. So yes, there is totally a false narrative about Russia in India. But when you come back to this part of the world, Russians are very, very clean, and they understood India long time back. Think about strategic partnership which was started by Mr. Vladimir Putin in 2000. It all started in 1990 to 2000 when Mr. Putin came to power. So he put this strategic partnership in 2000. That was 25 years ago. So think about the President Putin, what he was thinking that time. What made him think about doing such a partnership which had no benefits for first 22, 23 years? Everything happened right. So all I want to say is to my Indian friends that there is always two sides of the story. You should be open to both the sides. Today, AI is more, we all are using AI much more than ever before. So we know exactly what we are going to be in next 30 years, 25 years, and we need strong partners. So how does it start? 1 + 1 is not 2. We Indians believe 1 + 1 is 11, and this is the right time to do it.
That's a good one. Picking from a little bit from Bollywood as well. But Elena, Head of Foreign Affairs, you're looking at perception and connectivity. How many Indians do you see look at India at this point, look at Russia at this point in time with sanctions, explaining how and why they should be looking to and looking at Russia at all?
We see today in our geopolitical environment that trust is not a diplomatic courtesy. We see it as a hard currency, like a strategic asset. When partners pursue not just partner on cooperation, but the reliable partner pressure, who is capable to be in a long-term commitment and to stay strong during global fragmentation and disruptions and supply chains and others. And what we see that the volume of trade between our countries is rising and exceeded over 70 billion US dollars. And India became one of the top 3 economic partner of Russia. And this see the cooperation expanded into innovation, into international informational technologies, energy, urban development, medtech, nuclear tech. So it's spreading through high tech.
But would you call this a natural partnership or one created because of opportunity in vacuum? The fact that other countries are not allowed or are not doing business with Russia is why we're looking at India's growth in Russia, its opportunity in a vacuum, rather than natural growth and progress?
No, I would prefer to name it like a organical race of mutually beneficial, very estimated cooperation, as we saw very tight contacts between our academician institution, innovation clusters. This spring, we had a very large delegation from the part of association, which we brought to Hyderabad, Telangana state, and to Delhi, to establish contacts with person in charge, with high-level officials from Russian regions who are in charge of innovation development, with Indian officials as well. For example, we had meetings with Telangana Minister of IT, Electronics and Industry, distinguished Minister Sridhar Babu, and we also discussed very interesting areas of mutual interest with our colleagues from the largest incubator T-Hub in Hyderabad and the largest prototyping center T-Works. And we had a very interesting areas of common interest in science and technology, exploring with Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad. So we had a lot joint program to be established between Russian regions, Russian high-tech companies, Russian academic institutions, and R&D centers, and Indian partners as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting, Vasily, but I'd like to go back to the conversation on vacuum, because you spoke about media and propaganda. Is the vacuum where you don't see enough Russian media agencies, Indian media agencies really talk about maybe the conflict also in a way that puts the perspective from this side of this part of the world as well in right context, and you hear Western media and them being the credible, so-called credible voices, is the reason why we're calling it propaganda, but it's rather the fact that there's lack of credible voices at that scale from Russia and India?
Well, it's not really an Indian problem, to be frank. It's going on all over the world. It's not really just a choice. It's more of a situation where the Indian audience is just used to getting the outlook on what is happening in the world from the Western outlets. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that Indian audience is not smart enough to understand that the guys they're listening to have a very clear-cut agenda. No, it's pretty well understood. We at Sputnik, our largest and most successful office is in New Delhi. I've been there several times. I know the amount, I know the size of our audience who it's not like we made them listen to the Russian perspective. They want to understand Russia. They want to understand where we're coming from. as intelligent audience, they need to diversify their sources of information, so they want their outlook on life to be balanced. That's why they listen a little bit here, a little bit there. It's pretty natural, and I don't really see a huge problem when it comes to India, because as of today, I can walk out on the street in New Delhi and talk to people. I wouldn't see any hate. No, we're not even talking about hate. I wouldn't meet anyone with a one-sided view of the current crisis. People understand. People are very smart in this regard.
Is it growing now? This after a social media boom that we're seeing, is it growing now that people have started understanding that there are other sources of information rather than just sticking to American news agencies?
Absolutely.
I'm not saying West, I'm saying specifically American news agencies.
Sure. But why are you not saying West?
Because you'd like me to say Europeans as well, so yes, Western news agencies too.
No, but honestly, I don't see any distinction at this point when it comes to media agenda. Really, it's no different. But yes, because of the social network for the last 10 years, I'm seeing that if, for example, 15 years ago, I had to come to India, go to an Indian media outlet and tell them, you know what, guys, if you want a balanced outlook on life, you should really listen also to the Russian media, not just the West. 15 years ago, that was true. Right now, well, it's not a correct way to say that, but they are actually coming to us because they need their balanced view on life.
Okay. Sammy, you're here 36 years. It's very different for you. You're almost practically Russian. But what about Indians who are looking at Russia? Where's the trust, partnership in times where, and I'm saying this because of personal experience, when we come here, it is difficult. How we pay, what's the payment, mode of payment that we have to carry cash everywhere. It's very difficult. How does one convince Indians that yes, Russia is the place to invest, to look at, to build your future in?
So let us, indirectly you're talking about sanctions. Whatever you're telling...
I'm saying directly.
No, directly you're talking about sanctions. So today, whatever you see, there's a difficulty of payment, difficulty of using your card, difficulty of using your mobile phone. Yes, this is a part of the sanctions. Well, that's what everybody's suffering. That's what Russia is suffering. But let me tell you, staying here for 35 years, I can tell you only one thing. Love, respect, and understanding what Russians do for Indians, we are not going to get anywhere in the world. So for any businessman, this is the most important thing. Respect, love, and understanding. So this is here in Russia. Yes, this is what I was telling. The visit of Mr. Vladimir Putin is going to solve all these issues. They are going to, here both the governments are going to work together. They have to, Reserve Bank of India and the Central Bank of Russia has to come together to find the most stable way of payment system which will make rupee work together without using any other currency. So we have to be dependent of dollars, and this both currency can trade among themselves. That's why I think Mr. Putin is going. Yesterday, President has told very clearly, he understood that there is no balance of the business. Russian side is doing big business, Indian side is doing a very small business, and he is ready for imports of Indian goods. So this is a straightforward, open.
But Sammy, what's the problem with the rupee-ruble? There is a problem there. Where is the hiccup?
Our currency is not convertible. That's it. Indian rupee is not convertible.
Why? Why do you say that?
You have to talk to Reserve Bank of India, not to me.
No, I'm just asking why. If it's a G
Our
to G,
currency is not a convertible currency. You cannot, no Indian can go to any bank and tell, I need dollars. Our rupee is not convertible. So Reserve Bank of India and...
keep dollar aside. If you're talking about a rupee-ruble,
I'm talking about rupee.
Yeah,
I'm talking about rupee. Your rupee cannot be gone. No. If Indian has got 10,000 rupees, he cannot go to bank and buy Russian rubles, or he can buy any currency, because our currency is not convertible. The reason of your rupee not working in Russia is not because Russian ruble is not ready, because Indian rupee is not ready for that. Here the Reserve Bank of India has to do a lot of things. So that's why. So if your credit card is not working in Russia, please don't blame.
Credit card will not work because of sanctions, that aside.
No.
It works
Again,
everywhere
your
else in the
rupee
world.
is not convertible, that's
no,
why.
it works everywhere else, that aside. But rupee-ruble has to be the option for India and Russia. Elena, is there something that governments are looking at in terms of settlement of payments where it becomes easier because that helps in building trust?
That's what I was telling you. This visit is all about Mr. Putin going to make sure this thing happens.
Yeah.
This is the only way the future of India-Russia rupee-ruble trade will grow.
Absolutely.
We also pay big hopes to the upcoming visit of our president to India to meet Indian leader. As due to my information, we had a very few meetings with Sberbank India, who does a lot to stable payments between two countries to make them safe and fast and easier for G2G operations. So make sure if you use this entity, the trade operation will be okay.
Okay. Vasily, the larger picture, let's zoom out a little, because we're looking at businesses over here. We're looking at big businesses. Supply chain disruptors. Has that been a problem? Because supply chain in the entire global economy, where it comes from, is important. Of course, the good thing over here is that China supplies most of the, at least when it comes to electronics and so on and so forth, the smaller parts. But in the larger scheme of things, is that a concern? The
not
disruption
really.
in supply chain?
Not really. You're trying to force me to talk about the gray area of today's world market, but honestly, no. I understand a lot of stuff comes from China here. I wouldn't deny that. But at the same time, you imagine how long the Russian land border is, right? There are a lot of countries along that border, not just China.
Yeah.
There's also a thing like the former Soviet community.
Yes.
A lot of countries that just historically are so tied up with Russia from the economic point of view that they cannot afford to break those ties. I don't even think that is possible. So from the point of view of supply, I don't think I've experienced that in any area of life, either personal or business. So when this is exactly the same situation when they're talking about isolation. Well, there are 193 members of the United Nations. If we are isolated by 20 of them, that doesn't really create a huge problem, you understand, mathematically.
Yeah. Okay. But in terms... Yes, absolutely, Sammy.
Now, as I told you, the first thing for India-Russia business is the ruble-rupee payment, where both the central bank and Reserve Bank are working on it. The other thing is connectivity. So this is where Russia is working very hard. We have found a new corridor, which is North-South corridor, which is a very old corridor, but a lot of things have been working on it to make the connectivity faster. There is even the corridor from Vladivostok to Chennai. Yes. They are working on this corridor. So that is also in process. So once this corridor starts working, so business, that will bring our goods faster and cheaper.
Yes.
The rates will be, the time of bringing the goods. So that's the second place where India and Russia are working together, and it started working very nicely. So our goods will be reaching to Russia faster and cheaper. So that's where the competitive will begin. And yes, the demand of Indian goods are very high in Russia now. Very, very big. You ask anything from Ayurveda to yoga, you name it. We are not only the business partner, but now we are also the culture partners. Russia. Right. I think Moscow has got more yoga schools than in Delhi or in Mumbai.
That's a brilliant way of putting it. But before I wrap up this session, Vasily, if I could come to you. Defense has been critical. A lot of people say that India and Russia are inseparable because of the defense ties. But is that the only reason why the two countries are holding to each other? Or is there more to this relationship?
I'm struggling to understand why people are still searching for a very specific reason for Russia and India to be working together. I don't really understand. I mean, I would understand if we were talking about countries like Russia and Chile.
Yeah.
Yeah, or any South American country. Yeah, there I would understand the necessity for a specific reason to overcome the distance, overcome the cultural barriers, language barriers. With India, there were. This is a long road with no basically pit stops along the way. We have been going along that road for a very long time. We were working together during Soviet times. We were working together during the 90s, which were a turbulent time in Russia. Why on earth should we be stopping right now? And if I may, just can I use an animal metaphor? I know people hate it, but when I was growing up, it was really about Chinese dragon. Chinese dragon is going to wake up, and then everything will be not as it was before. Let's just call it that. Or when don't poke the Russian bear will wake up and eat you. Nobody ever talks about Indian elephant, if I may. And please don't be offended. But
not at all.
But Indian elephant so far has been playing a unique role on the planet. Everybody is doing something international. India is just standing there, slowly growing in size. The elephant is slowly growing in size. It's not like the elephant is attacking you, or it's dangerous to you, or it's not like it's even talking to you. But you cannot just ignore this elephant that's just getting bigger. And at this point, in terms of something new happening in Russia-India relations, I'm just looking at specifically not Russia-India, but India. Because I'm just hoping that when the Indian elephant finally wakes up, first of all, it's not going to be mad. And second of all, I'm just expecting that maybe it will teach us all how to
be wiser,
love each other more.
I would like to tell what Vasily wants to tell you. He wants to tell you Mr. Vladimir Putin's visit is a pivot for when Russia looks to Asia. And they understand without India, they cannot make it. India is the center point. India has the population. India is the nest. When you talk about India-Russia relationship, yes, the past was defense and energy. The future is joint manufacturing.
Okay.
The only way we two countries can do something together is joint manufacturing in IT, pharma, technology, textiles. That's the only way.
Right. We keep mentioning every time there's an India-China conversation, dance of the elephant and the dragon. But here we'll have to see how the bear and the elephant dances when Putin and Modi meet. Thank you so much for joining me here.